So if you've seen this guy naked, you might have recognized him as Adam Sandler's body in the movie Click. Please give it up for your celebrity co-host, 200 pounds lighter, theflyingfatguy.com, Gary Holm.
How's it going, everybody? Tamara's birthday, co-hosting, Faye. Love it. So, I recently started dating somebody, and I was just kind of wondering, what's the best way to tell somebody you have syphilis? Is there a good way? I'm just kidding. I'm actually, for those of you who don't know, I'm dating the guest of honor this evening, Miss Tamara Garfield. I'm very lucky, very lucky. So is she. And she's actually responsible for the 28 most terrifying minutes of my life. Basically, we started getting, serious pretty quickly, and I'm like, hey, I've seen on TV all these billboards where they're like, get tested, right? So I'm like, I guess I should get tested because it's getting serious. So, got on the computer, started Googling. I'm pretty good at it, Google fiend, and turned out Planned Parenthood, they say, is a good place to go to get checked out, right? I've heard it, why not? So I make an appointment, call them up, head down to Planned Parenthood, kind of a shady neighborhood, the brand, the hood, but that's fine. Spend money on people, not place, right? So I get there, and I get to the door, like a strip mall, random kind of place, and buzz, and they say, hey, who are you? And I say, Gary Holm, I have an appointment. They buzz me in, and instantly it's kind of like going to a pawn shop. Because you go in the first door, right, and then the door closes behind you, and you're in this like vestibule place. And I guess they're checking for bombs or something because people bomb Planned Parenthood, I guess. So I hadn't planned on bombing, but anyway. So I'm in this nondescript thing, and then it's way too long. It felt like it was 5 minutes. It may not have been, but they buzz me through, and then all of a sudden you're in this just normal waiting room thing, like any doctor's office. And I'm sitting there checking, and they say, please have a seat. Sitting down, sort of checking everybody else out. Like, who else is here? There's 3 other like shady dudes that are probably for the same thing I'm there for. They look like they definitely got STDs. There's a young couple that clearly is either really happy or really sad that they may or may not be pregnant. They don't know what's going on. Then there was a lady that had her little baby, and that one threw me off because I know that they take care of like getting rid of babies, but I didn't realize that they looked after kids. I guess they do sort of like aftercare stuff too. So we're sitting there kind of waiting. Some random dude walks in. He walks up to the counter and he just says condoms. One word. Like, what does that mean? Like, what? And without flinching, the lady working the desk just hands him a paper bag that I assume was full of condoms. So I guess if you ever need condoms, you can just go and say condoms and they just give them to you, which is great to know. So I'm sitting there waiting, they finally call me, and they're like, Gary, it's ready for you. So I walk in, this lady who was clearly a nurse, wasn't a doctor in any way, shape, or form, but nurses are fine, no offense. So we go inside, and she's like, all right, so I'm going to ask you some questions, and I guess, she's going to find out my sexual history. So she starts going down the list, and it starts out with pretty basic questions, like, have you had sex in the last 6 months? Have you had unprotected sex in the last 6 months? Slowly starts building. They're like, have you had anal sex in the last 6 months? Has anybody had anal sex with you in the last 6 months? Have you had anal sex with 5 people in 3 days? Like, it's very specific. It threw me for a loop, but I mean, in the end, it was a whole lot of no's and a handful of yeses. I won't get into where the yeses came from, but they were there, and I'd really like to meet the person that was all yeses, because somebody's like, definitely. So I passed the written portion of the exam, and So she's like, okay, now go pee in this cup, and I'm pretty good at that. So I pee in the cup, and then she's like, we're gonna take some blood, and she takes the blood, and then she pulls out this thing, and it looked a lot like a pregnancy test. And so I'm like, think I'm funny. I'm like, I'm definitely not pregnant. And she's like, no, we're gonna go prick your finger, and then in 15 minutes we'll know whether you have HIV or AIDS. And as a logical person, I knew that they were gonna do an AIDS test, right? But until she actually said it, I was like, oh my God, what if I have AIDS? Holy shit. So she pricks my finger, and she like takes 15 minutes, and you'll go wait outside, and we'll call you in, and we'll tell you, if you whatever. So instantly I look at my phone, I'm like, 15 minutes, okay, the countdown to start. Right? So she ushers me out to the waiting room again, and I'm sitting there, and it's like the longest time I've ever sat to wait for anything. 5 minutes passes, I'm like, okay, what's going on? 10 minutes passes, freaking out, it's like this weird sort of fog comes over me. All of a sudden, like, I'm pretty sure I've manifested symptoms of AIDS. Like, I was like pale, I'm pretty sure. I wasn't looking at myself. There's no mirrors there, because they don't want you to question your decisions when you walk in. So I look like powder, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just pale white. I'm pretty sure I lost 20 pounds in 3 seconds. And it's just like, I didn't know what to do. Okay, 15 minutes passes. I'm like, thank you. 15 minutes. I'm looking around. There's nobody coming to get me. I'm like, it's been 15 minutes, people. What the fuck, right? So I'm sitting there. 20 minutes. I'm like, what is going on? It's been 20 minutes. They said 15 minutes. It's quite clearly been 20. 25 minutes hits. Then it's on. It's 25 minutes. I'm like, okay, that nurse is looking for a grief counselor. She's trying to find the person that is qualified to tell me I have AIDS. All of a sudden, I'm Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. Like, it's game over. Tamara's not gonna understand. Like, she's not gonna be cool with AIDS. Like, I don't know who is. It's just fucked. I'm like, 30 minutes, I'm out of here. Like, I'll leave, I don't care, I'm just done. So, watching my phone, 28 minutes hits, and on the nose, the nurse comes in and Mr. Holm, we're ready for you. I'm like, okay, where, what? Okay, so she walks me to the back, go back in the same room. She's like, okay, so, the urine and the blood test, if you don't hear from us in 7 to 10 days, then you're clear on all these things. Like, get to the point. Like, I want to know if I have AIDS. Like, tell me. I didn't really want to know. I was pretty sure I didn't when everything started, but by then I was pretty sure I did. So, and then she's like, we appreciate you supporting Planned Parenthood and this, and I'm like, Jesus. She's like, oh, your AIDS test was negative. And I said, excuse me? And she said, no, you're negative for HIV/AIDS. And I just, without even thinking, this noise was just like, it just fell out of me. I wanted to cry, I wanted to laugh, I wanted to pee. Like, it all just happened. I didn't know what was going on. And the only thing I could think to do was to hug her. Because it was just like, I was just like, thank you. I'm hugging her. And clearly, she's been hugged many times. Exactly the same reason, because people don't have AIDS anymore. Not since the 80s. But, and so, we wrap up, I'm like, thank you so much. And she's like, hey, if you go to the front, you ask them, they'll give you, as many condoms as you want. I'm like, nah, because clearly I don't need condoms. And, that's all I got, people.